All right, welcome back to F1, the Lando Norris show. Apparently, looks like he's about to close in on the championship, but not this week because this is in Vegas. So this is our show where we're going to look at predictions for Vegas. We're back. First thing I want to note is that we're back to sea level, which means that Red Bull's package, which is made for low downforce tracks, and the rigidity of their suspension is very good on low. Not the rigidity, but their aerodynamic setup is made for low sea level, and it backfired up in Mexico and Brazil because they didn't have real world data to transfer. Because everybody thought they were going to do well in Mexico and win because it's high speed and low grip, but it didn't work out because of high altitude, tire drag, and everything else, which McLaren had a super advantage in high altitude. But we're back on the sea, and when we're looking at the numbers, this track for Vegas has very long straights and a few slow corners, which are short. And that's the key thing. It doesn't have long, expansive corners that McLaren does well in because their tire drag is good and other people's tire drag gets obliterated. So they don't have that advantage. Second thing that McLaren doesn't have is that this is going to be a cold track, and it's going to be way outside the proper operating window for McLaren. So McLaren will suffer more graining. Thank God, the opposite of tire drag. They're going to have graining issues here. Red Bull's aero package is made for this track. They have a wider window of operating for their tires than McLaren, but the team that really has the best window here is going to be Mercedes. So to cut it short, this track has very long straights. It has a few low-speed corners, doesn't have a lot of high-speed corners or expansive corners. So it's going to be low downforce setup, and you have to have a lot of top speed with low drag. McLaren has a lot of drag because they focus on downforce. Red Bull is the opposite. So I give the Red Bull the advantage here and Mercedes. So I'm going to say that Antonelli, George Russell, and Verstappen are going to be fighting for pole position and for P1 in this. So I guess I'm going to predict that Verstappen comes first, George Russell comes second. I'm going to go on a limb to say that Antonelli will beat out Norris, and Norris will come fourth. Piastri will come somewhere back in P20, P30. Okay, what are your thoughts, Kunle?
Well, I mean, on the race, I think Verstappen is going to come first. I think Norris is going to come second, and I think Leclerc is going to come.
Oh, you don't think Mercedes is going to do well on this cold track?
I think that it'll be a fight between Norris and it'll be a fight between Leclerc and I think the Mercedes chap. What's his name? Russell and Leclerc. Between them, one's going to become third, one's going to go fourth, and then Antonelli is going to be there or thereabouts, but he's not going to be in that top four. You know, this track, the thing about this track surface is it can be uneven and slippery more than a race-built racing circuit, you know, because it's a street circuit and it's a really, really, really fast racing circuit. But I think the car's adjustment, I mean, like, I think the main teams that I'm looking at are Ferrari, McLaren, and I think Mercedes and the Red Bull. You know, I think those are the main teams.
According to the scientists, McLaren's going to suffer on this track because it's a low downforce track. If you think it's low downforce and McLaren relies on high down, so McLaren's going to have a problem on those long straights, and they won't be able to make it up the time. They won't be able to make up the time on the corners because the corners are very brief also. So it doesn't play to McLaren's strength. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, given the high proportion of, you know,
the only thing, yeah, you're right about the grip. You're right about the grip because it has low grip. But the problem is that McLaren's mechanical grip on outside of their window, that's going to cause graining for them. So they're going to have tire graining issues, which might hurt their race pace. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they're going to have to typically reduce the front and rear wing angles to decrease the drag and maximize the top end speed. However, this must be carefully balanced to maintain stability in the slower, tighter corners for McLaren. Looking at the tire and brake management, you know, it's actually cold in November in Las Vegas, so it makes it difficult to keep
coldest track of the year. 60 degrees, 10 degrees.
Yeah, so it's hard to keep them in their optimal, temperature windows. So adjustments need to be made to make sure the grip is maximized and make sure that there's good braking performance in the cold in the cold conditions. So it's going to be, it's going to be a challenge. But I think because McLaren have got such good engineers, that's why I always have so much faith in them whenever they have to look and face all these kind of new challenges.
They'll do something innovative. I was reading an article about that. Yeah. Keep talking while I look for that article.
Okay.
Well, they always come up with something, man. I promise you. But you can talk a little bit about Mercedes because there's going to be some heavy braking here. And Mercedes is known for heavy braking and for traction and acceleration. So they're going to brake heavy into those low-speed corners, which are very brief. Then they're going to turn back around and accelerate out of them. They're very good at that. And they're going to have more available grip than McLaren because this is a better operating window for their tires. So go ahead,
Yeah, I think so. Mercedes has brought, they brought major aerodynamic upgrades throughout this season in order to improve the airflow, including upgrades on the floor, their front wing, and their side pools. So for the Las Vegas circuit, they previously trimmed the front wings to achieve better balance for the low downforce track demands that this track demands. But most teams are going to use lower downforce wings to maximize speed on the long straights in this race. And, most teams are going to have to make adjustments to the brake and management systems to keep the tires at, the best temperatures in windows because of this cold nighttime track temperatures, which is going to be quite tricky. The ride height often for the teams make slight increases to that in order to handle the bumps of the public road surface. What I like about this track is the Las Vegas Boulevard strip where Biggie and Tupac.
Do you think we might get lucky if somebody dropped a little packet of cocaine on there? We might find it on the road just by the side, because that's what happens in Vegas stays in my nose.
Oh yeah. I think it's fun. I think Las Vegas track has all the cool people of the world that are going to be there. It's a sort of Hamilton has performed well on this track, but I think Hamilton right now is more of a tourism, is more of an advertisement. He needs to keep, and I think this chap that was saying the not very kind words about, in response to Hamilton's interview earlier last week, he's having the negative effect on the one thing that Hamilton has been there for, which is to generate interest and to raise funds and to raise the share market of Ferrari. And this idiot is now, belittling, his 7-time champion driver.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he did that on purpose just so we could have newspapers to read. Maybe the F1 people said, just insults.
And he has no talent. Clearly, he has no talent.
Here's my theory. I have a theory that Ferrari and all the shareholders in F1 said, okay, so this week, Elkan, you're going to make fun of Piastri. You'll make fun of Leclerc and Hamilton. It's going to be a big. So anyway, what if all of this is just a news cycle thing, and they're all laughing at us behind our back? I'm beginning to think F1 is like that. But let's pretend like Elkan really is saying that bullshit. How dumb could you be? Because now he's the scapegoat of F1. Go ahead, Kunle. Yeah,
he's a scapegoat of F1. And then instead of increasing the popularity of Hamilton, you're saying, oh, people shouldn't like him. He's an idiot. And then why did you get him to increase the popularity of your team and then shit talk him? Because that's what I call it, when you start talking shit about somebody that's supposed to be on your team. So I think, but apart from that, I would like to, Hamilton's morale is quite low. I think that he needs to look at this race. It's a fast track. It's a good Ferrari track. There's no reason why he should perform poorly on it. I think he did well on it last season as well.
Yeah.
He should try to. Ferrari should try to look towards the morale of their team. I think their car is good. I think that apart from the mess up they did at the start of the season with the changing of the floors and all of that nonsense, they're actually quite good. But their team leader is just a spoiled brat who has no idea how to take that team forward because of the nonsense he said last week. That's my feeling about Ferrari. Mercedes are doing their work quietly. Antonelli he seems to be, to me, I don't know. I think he does do well on does he do well on the slower tracks or the faster tracks?
Antonelli does better on low speed. So Russell will have.
That's what I thought. He's better on
an advantage on this track.
Yeah, but that's only because he's
getting
young.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes time before you're fast. You're better on. If he was better on the high speed tracks now, then you'd be saying that he's the next Verstappen. But he
Yeah.
might still become the next Verstappen. But for an 18-year-old to be doing better on the high speed tracks than the low speed tracks, that's a special driver. So
Oh
he's
yeah,
still at the back.
that's
So
difficult.
it's normal. It doesn't
You
mean
know
he
who's
might
doing
not
well on the
perform
high
in the
speed track
future.
as a rookie, but he's young, he's older, is
Yeah,
Haja. Haja does well on high speed
exactly.
track.
So it does. Yeah, Haja could become the next great Formula One driver's nemesis. He could become the next.
Yeah, because he's good on high speed tracks.
Yeah,
And
he's going
yeah,
to scare the next great Formula One driver. I think that's what Haja is going
yeah,
to do in
yeah.
his future.
So yeah, so Ferrari would
Antonelli is building steadily. We don't know what he can be, but I can see his ceiling is not going to be outrageous because of the fact that he's in a fast car.
he'll be like sort of like a Kimi Räikkönen, somebody who's fast, but maybe not as consistent as they could be, but they're fast and dangerous. You know.
Yeah, I think that you give him a good car, he could compete. I think Antonelli also is learning a lot of good hard lessons now as a very young boy, and that will stand him up for future.
Yeah, and
Because
one thing
if
I like to know, he apparently has no ego, which is a good thing. But he's not a
yeah,
pusher.
very important, and he's also the most close to popular culture of the new age. I don't know
Yeah,
what they call the next generation, Gen something,
yeah,
but
Gen
he's
Brad, Gen
yes,
Brad.
he's a Gen
But
baby of sorts.
actually, Gen ITK. This new generation, they're Dad. You shouldn't say that. That's not politically correct. You shouldn't say that. It's people of color, not black.
Oh, oh,
All right,
God.
so let's get out of here.
That's
But
why
yeah,
it's
so
good that we're not
Ferrari. The main
immortal.
issue for Ferrari is can they ride low? I think they can ride low here. There's not a lot of chicanes and all that. They can ride a little bit low, and I predict one of them will be like you said. Will get the. I hope they don't do some shit and let Leclerc give Hamilton a P3. Let's say Leclerc's gonna be 3. Let's give the car for a P3. All right, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah.
They did that last year. They did that last year in the last race, Abu Dhabi, where they purposely slowed. George Russell let Hamilton beat him and come P3 or something like that. And they said, "Oh,
Oh
Hamilton
man.
made a lot. Remember when he was on hard tires? He made a great stint, but I had a feeling George Russell backed down for him because Toto Wolff wanted to have Hamilton do a donut spins with his last race
Exactly.
for Mercedes. That one is a fucking circus. All right, take
Of
us out.
course, it's a circus.
So in about 40 minutes, we'll do the Israeli story about
All right.
shipping Palestinians out. They need to ship them to Vegas, help them win the lottery and arm themselves. Good. That was a terrible thing. I hope they don't ban us.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting look is what it's going to be, and a very exciting weekend as we look towards the Las Vegas circuit, the fastest of the street circuits, in my opinion, fast, cold night circuit. And from myself and Mustafa, we shall be seeing you all week discussing it. We bid you good night, farewell. Don't forget to like and subscribe, adieu, and don't forget, we'll see you on